Hey guys, it's Raven here. I have some 2v2 gameplay for you today, which is kind of new. I know normally I do 3v3 and 4v4 games, but I happen to have this, so I want to put it on my channel. I'm playing the Guards Armored, which is also a channel first for me. And I'm with a third armor deck against a Fallschirmjäger and a Panzerlehr. Now this is kind of an interesting matchup because if you just look at the income, you see they have more total income in Phase A, and we have a lot more in B, and then they have more, again, relatively speaking, in C. So that's kind of an odd curve where they have a stronger early game, we have a really strong mid game, and then we, relatively speaking, fall off in the late game compared to them. And this is on Capricorn. There is kind of this big city on Capricorn, so normally it'd be odd that we have two armored divisions. I think Bash, who I was in comms with, I think he misunderstood when I was trying to tell him what the map was. And so he chose third armored, and it's really an odd position for him to go into here, because he has to fight the third Fallschirmjäger, and it's a huge city grind. It's not a great position for his deck, and it was kind of a mistake, I think. But we ended up kind of playing it off well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Although I am probably going to focus more on this side. So just in terms of my starting force real quick, you see I took these two tanks, the Command Cromwell 4 and the Cromwell 6. Cromwell 4 is a 120 point command tank with 1 star. It's got 11 AP and 7 front armor. This is probably about the best value tank in Phase A of any deck, in my opinion. It's also really fast. It's 33 kilometers an hour off-road. That's faster than a Stuart. Really strong key unit for the Guards early game. I would start with it in pretty much any Guards Armored start. And the same with the Cromwell 6. This is a HE only variant, but it has 1200 meter range, which means that it outranges pretty much any AT gun you're going to come against in Phase A, and it's also great fire support besides. So these two units represent a 230 point investment. That's almost half of your starting points, your 500 starting points, but it's a pretty key pair of units for the Guards Armor, and I think most of your early game is going to revolve around these two. See, besides that, I have a couple Humbers, armored cars with recon, infantry, Piat, and an anti-tank gun. So at the start, what I'm doing, I know I'm probably against the Panzerlehr, so I'm trying to decide what he's doing. Is he going to send like a huge Puma rush down this corridor right here? If so, I have a Piat team to kind of defend, also an anti-tank. And I'm also kind of worried about him just doing a big push into the hangar. So I'm trying to establish what he's doing. It's kind of the early game tit for tat and the recon. But at this point, I'm deciding, okay, he's not being very aggressive. And that's a pretty common strategy with the Panzerlehr, because you have that low income in B, low income in C, or low income in A, low income in B, and then in C you spike to 150 and you get all your super units. So I'm kind of recognizing this. You see, I just call it all this infantry, so I know I've got to push him if he's not going to be aggressive, because I can't just sit there and let him get to the late game where he has the advantage. So right now I've got my Piat team, so he can guard this kind of gap. I have my AT gun to guard this kind of gap. So I'm set up defensively. I want to kill this armored car so I can push the line back. I'm going to get ready to push. I've got my infantry, I've got an AT gun coming up. And then on this side, you see the Fallschirmjäger started with an HS-129. That's a heavy anti-tank plane. He killed one of Bash's Stuarts, and just in general, my teammate's having a really tough time because his deck is kind of hard countered by his opponent in this specific terrain. So I know I've got to make something happen. I'm going to try and do that here in a second. We aren't too bad, though. We're 50-50, although I think if Bash gets pushed back a little bit, we'll be 51-49, or 49-51, I should say, which is all it takes to start hemorrhaging points, so we don't want to let that happen. So I'm shifting my Cromwells up. I've decided I want this to be my axis of attack. I have my 6-pounder here. He's aiming up and he's killing these half-tracks. That's all I'm really doing is kind of probing back and forth, trying to pick off these armored vehicles that are scattered around here. But overall, this is a really strong position. He's got 2 AT guns, he's got trees, he's got heavy cover in these bunkers, he's got plenty of Panzer Grenadier, and of course a Puma besides. This isn't really an easy place to push, but I'm going to try and do it anyways. You see I have my infantry going up right now. I'm just trying to get close enough to unload. Although that anti-tank gun took a shot at these guys, so I know it's there. He's going to kill that Bren carrier. In this specific instance, these Panzer Grenadiers, you know, they've got the 2 machine guns, they've got 1-star veterancy. They're going to beat British infantry every time. You know, I only have that 1 machine gun with 2 HE. He's got 2 machine guns each with 9 HE. But what I do have on him is fire support. I have these 2 great tanks, and I'm moving them up to... Basically, my infantry is just kind of pushing forward and getting spotting stuff while my tanks go up and trade shots. One thing I'm really worried about right now is the Puma. See, he's trying to move it around and get sight on stuff. That Puma is the only thing that can really counter me right now, because my Cromwell with the HE can push off anti-tank guns, which I've been doing. See, he does manage to sneak a shot on my Bren carrier, but it's much better that I lost that rather than my tank. So now that AT gun's exposed, I know it's there, so I can kind of... I'm being really careful to use these trees and these hangars to conceal me. Like I said, the Puma's really what I'm worried about right now, but I managed to get my AT gun out here to fire on it. It's just a really little gap, but I managed to get just enough of a shot to make it bail out. Look at how tight that angle is on that Puma I just killed. See, he does mortar me, but it's too late. I killed the Puma. And at this point, I mean, I've neutralized that. I've neutralized the AT gun over here. I'm trying to push up. My vehicles are really close in for support, but because I've killed a lot of his anti-tank stuff, I'm kind of confident enough to do that. His machine gun's in a great position to overwatch. I was trying to push this guy up here to kind of screen me, but unfortunately that STKFZ was able to pin it down. But again, this is all about the fire support. I have my tanks, my Humber, my 6-pounder. It's really just about using those to kill stuff when my infantry spot things. These guys, I had to make them retreat, but they're going to come back here in a minute. We just, I brought a Tempest. I shot down that HS-129. That was actually really big too, because that HS-129 was kind of the one thing that could have came and ruined me right here. And thankfully, the Fallschirmjäger player wasn't coordinated enough to do that. He sent it over here at Bashed to do something, and I had a Tempest ready to kill it. I bought a Tempest specifically because of that, because I knew he had it over here. Anyways, Bash isn't... He got pushed out of the city, obviously, but he's doing a pretty decent job kind of containing it. That's a problem for the Fallschirmjäger player. You know, he's in the city, but he has trouble translating that into any more gains. Meanwhile, I've made a lot of progress over here. I've actually pushed the guy out of this really strong defensive position. And the reason for that, he got a King Tiger. That's 380 points that he just spent, and that's a lot of eggs in one basket, but it's a pretty powerful basket. I think that's 5 minutes of income, 3 minutes from phase. He got it 2 minutes into B, so it's 2 minutes of B income and 3 minutes of A income. That's a huge amount of points he just put down, and that's part of why I could push him out of here. He was saving rather than sending stuff to reinforce this. That may have been a bit of a mistake, but on the other hand, now the King Tiger is out of the box, and I really don't have anything I can deal with it. I mean, I can't deal with it in the C, let alone the start of B. You see, I do have a Firefly, I do have a 17-pounder, but those are like the heaviest hitting things I have, with 16 AP, and they're not going to pen a 21 front armor unit. So, I mean, that's a pretty bad thing for me. But on the other hand, I have taken this place. I have more units on the field, I think, just in terms of like taking the ground, securing it. But on the other hand, you know, how do you deal with this super unit? I traded a shot with my Firefly. That was actually really ill-advised. I shouldn't have tried to do that, but luckily I didn't get killed. So right now I'm using the line of sight of the bunkers to try and, you know, kind of be defensive against the Tiger. Just because it's here, I don't necessarily need to retreat right away. I'm trying to lure him in where I can get my Piat team close enough to shoot him. Fortunately, they get killed somehow. And I'm using my Firefly to play off the bunkers. I can shoot over here, bomb the King Tiger. I'm going to try and take a shot at it with my Firefly. But unfortunately, he was pushing this pack 40 up. Oh yeah, and I have the 17-pounder here on the airfield. He's trading shots with the Befell Tiger, but that's just not going to work. The Befell Tiger's 2 stars. I should have had that guy with his gun off and waiting for the Tiger to get closer, but that's not how it worked out. So again, my Firefly's up here. It's exposed. I don't want to let go of this hard-won position. But unfortunately, that was a bit of a mistake. You see the Befell Tiger's coming up here. And I push out my Firefly to take a shot at it, but the Befell Tiger no-scopes me, kills me. And at that point, it really is kind of panic mode. Like, I need to fall back. This guy's got a King Tiger, he's got a Tiger, and the heaviest thing I have is a Cromwell. You see, I do have another Firefly coming up. I do have an AT coming up, AT gun coming up, which will be able to kind of counter this stuff a little bit, but this isn't a great position, honestly. I do want to point out, I have these 2 Cromwells still. These things, it's almost 20 minutes into the game, and these were part of my starting force, which just kind of hammers home how useful these units are. You see my Cromwell's down to 8 shells out of 47, which is an indication of how much I've been using it. So right now they're tucked in behind these trees. They're pretty secure right there. And I'm trying to just find a way to turn the tables on this guy with his Tigers. I'm kind of setting up for that. All quiet on the eastern front here right now. Bash kind of, because of his jump, we can push up into this area, but he really can't re-secure the town just because of the deck he's playing. So you see I bombed that Tiger, so I brought my anti-tank gun and my Firefly up. Because it's panicked, I can make it fall back rather than just trade shots with it, and then eventually I kill it with direct fire. Although he does bring some planes out to strafe me. Thankfully I had an AT gun there, and Bash had some 50 cals there, so we could scare him off. So my AT gun didn't take too much damage. But this is an interesting position though, because I've traded a lot better than him, but he has that dang King Tiger there. And I have to react to it. It's so strong, it's so dominant. I'm trying to get it to surrender. I'm trying to get my Cromwell up to get a shot on it, but he gets killed by the pack gun. I was trying to stun it with my Cromwell maybe, and then make it surrender. Anything I can just to... It just didn't work though. He killed everything, weapon damaged my Cromwell. That was actually really lucky. He should have killed it there. So again, I'm in retreat again because I'm not able to kill it. And yeah, I mean it's a problem. Now, thankfully, I had this position. He still hasn't pushed me out of here, and I don't know. Like he bought the King Tiger, so you can see all I'm doing to try and kill it. Because again, I have to react to it. But on the other hand, he sends his planes again. That was a mistake though, because I had the AT gun or AA gun. And I get on the tail of that one and manage to kill it. But that's a little bit of how the Fallschirmjäger's supporting him. But anyways, the King Tiger, it's like he has all these points in this one basket, and it's super dominant in this phase. But he's not. He's relying on the super unit rather than core gameplay, I feel like. So you see I managed to get it stunned with my bombs and my rocket plane. I'm going to make another. This is the 3rd attempt I'm making on this King Tiger. I drove an AT gun up and I unloaded. I'm shooting at the King Tiger, trying to bring my Firefly up while also sheltering myself from the stuff I knew was over here. Bounce a shot, obviously. Bomb it again just to keep it falling back, and I was trying to make it surrender that infantry squad actually, but they got spotted. And this is really how you deal with King Tigers, you know, because of this tree line, he has to show his side armor if he's going to fall back behind it. And that's what happened right now. I got him to show my sidearm, his sidearm, and I shot him with a Firefly. So that's a big 380 point loss. You see, he just bought these double flak 88s in an attempt to cover the Firefly, but it was just like a couple minutes too late because I was able to kill it. So that was 380 points of the Firefly and 270 between those two flak guns. That's like 700 or so points that he spent on that one kind of strategy, and it ended up all being for naught because I killed the killed the King Tiger. You see, he also deployed a King Tiger over here because it's phase C. He got to his big 150 point income, and he has more King Tigers in his deck, so he bought them to help the Fallschirmjäger guy push. I do think these two players were cooperating together. That's why he sent that over there. But again, he's just, you know, he never transitioned, like he never supported the super units, which I think is kind of a cautionary tale. He's relying on these big high dollar Tigers, King Tigers, regular Tigers, Flak 88s. He only has like 2 infantry squads on the field. And the result is that even though I'm having trouble trading with those Tigers against open ground, you know, that's kind of a nightmare scenario to have to fight them across open ground, he doesn't have the core like pushing. I still have his bunkers, I still have this edge of the map. So the result is that even though Bash is more or less, I mean, he's not even, but he's more or less even. So if the middle point of the map is here, then, you know, he's kind of just okay, but then I have so much more, and we end up, you know, between 51 and 53% control for most of the game. But like I said, they get stronger in phase C, and they're just starting to push. But I think rather than buying the King Tiger and sending it over here, which again we're just bombing it endlessly to keep it back, rather than doing that, it would have been smarter to really start to make a play over here, and he never really did that, I don't think. And that's the mistake, is just focusing on these kind of more super units and meme units. So like I said, I killed the Tiger. I'm being kind of aggressive. I want to push him back, but the Panzerler deck, it's so strong in phase C. He has this heavy 150 point income. He can recover from almost anything. You see, he's finally getting the infantry out to counter my push. I have some motorized rifles here coming up. I want to secure this tree line, have Piats. I could use it as a wedge to keep his Tigers back, but I don't quite manage that. See, his Tiger E comes out here, so I'm retreating my support units and bringing my Firefly up to engage him. Fortunately, that doesn't quite work out. Oh, actually it does. I kill it with my 17-pounder. Unfortunately, that 17-pounder gets mortared, of course. I did manage to kill it. So I have Firefly Harris. This is a pre-order bonus ace unit. Trading shots with Tigers on this end. So at this point, let's see. I've killed a King Tiger. I've killed 2 regular Tigers, and I've lost 1 Firefly. So I'm trading better than him, and I'm further forward. I have 2 Fireflies on the field right now to his 2 Tigers, because again, he's lost all that stuff, but he has such income he can recover. I've also put a lot of points into planes because I've had to, because I need to use them to counter King Tigers. So I've been using them to counter Tigers over here, but unfortunately the Fallschirmjäger guy, he gets me, kills those 2 Typhoons with his ASFs. I shouldn't have sent those, that was a mistake. And I've been using those kind of planes to keep the King Tiger over here back as well to protect Bash. But I do manage to kill that Tiger with Harris. I didn't manage to see it. I tucked this Humber back behind the bush because again, it's another Tiger. It's like every 2 minutes, that Tiger E is 240. Every 3 minutes he can have 2 Tigers, basically, which is just, that's so hard to keep up with, and it's really that's kind of vexing me right now. Because whenever I kill one, it seems like there's another one coming up the road. But because I had that good push in the early to mid game, I was able to at least secure enough territory to keep us up. and he's having a real trouble translating that into points, his income and stuff. See, Harris and that Tiger just traded shots and transmission damaged each other, so now they're kind of decrepitly moving. If you have transmission damage, all that really does is make your tank go slower, so it kind of hurts my micro. You see, I just rocketed both of those tanks. I tried to move my Humber up. I want him to make those surrender, but unfortunately, he just called another Tiger. That Gepard was there and made him lose his morale, and he didn't manage to make those surrender. So now Harris is trading shots again. This is kind of interesting because it's like open armored warfare across long distances. You don't really see that much, and Axis definitely has an advantage in that situation. I'm trying to nullify that a little bit, but at this point, Harris with his transmission damaged, I'm falling back, but his Tiger without the transmission damage is faster, so he gets close enough to take a couple shots, but luckily he doesn't kill me. He bounces at least 1 or 2 shells. That's actually pretty lucky because 15 AP can pen 11 AP pretty easily. I do want to show you from his line of sight, he can't see any of this stuff right now. I put down smoke because I'm trying to tuck Harris back but trying behind this tree line to protect him. But as he pushes forward through the smoke, see, I have a Firefly behind these woods. I tuck Harrison behind there for safety, and right as I get my commander up, I send my Fireflies up to engage. Fortunately, he kills that one, but Harris with his 2 stars kills the Tiger there. And about that point, I have my other Firefly, my Achilles, coming up, and this is kind of the point where I actually have kind of parity with him. See, he's got 3 Tigers, I have 2 Fireflies and an Achilles with a commander, which that's another thing, he probably should have had a commander over here. But my push can engage him piecemeal and slowly kind of just win this open ground. I think he's out of King Tigers. He lost one here. He still has one over here. It's important to note, I mean, his King Tiger over here, it's basically just been a waste. Like, it hasn't managed to, you know, if they could have pushed Bash back to this tree line, that would have been huge, because I think it would have neutralized our point advantage and maybe even given them a win. But at this point, you know, it's a 40-minute game. The timer's almost out. There's only, what, 40 seconds left in the replay. I'm kind of, I mean, obviously the game's over. We won by a pretty large margin. But the reason for that, I think, and the reason I wanted to post this video was because obviously the Fallschirmjäger guy did a really great job winning this town. Panzer Lehr did a great job using his income to really get those strong units out. But they didn't have the synergy or the wherewithal to turn this victory into a larger victory. I mean, by taking the town, he took, say, 51%, but he really needed to just push Bash back and get all of this area, and they just couldn't do that. And then on the left, the Panzer Lehr, despite his income advantage and his unit advantage, could not translate that into a push that could take me out of those early game positions, like, again, the bunkers, this area right here that I won in the early game. And that's the point, really. Like, he didn't do enough core gameplay. Unfortunately, whenever I load this replay, the ending crashes, so I can't show you the points at the end, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope that was enjoyable gameplay to watch. I do like the Guards Armored. It's pretty fun. Whatever people may say about it, I know a lot of people say it needs buffs. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. If you have any comments, whatever, please let me know. And yeah, take care.